Sinomsa here at Nkosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, late from within. With me today, I am with Claudia Passa, and looks like he is joining us. How are you, Claudia?
Um, Good afternoon to everyone. And yes, I'm well. Thank you so much. And looks like we have another one today on.
Where is Annie? Is still hiding.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it to work now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, that's a change. That's better than the other day. Okay, let's see if that's okay.
Okay,
I haven't used
so
Zoom in a while, so I'm still getting used to it. So just give me a few minutes and I'll get it sorted out. I'll get there.
Absolutely.
okay, we are already live, by the way. So
Sorry.
the topic for today, the signs of a toxic relationship. So are you
Toxic
wondering if
relationship.
your
Okay, yep.
relationship is healthy or toxic? Is this an eye-opening video for you? So today we're going to discuss the five red flags that indicate you might be in a toxic relationship. By understanding these signs is very crucial for your emotional well-being, and it can help you uh, take the necessary steps to protect yourself. Claudia, I know you chose this topic. So what was in your mind when you chose this?
Wasn't nothing is special exactly, but exactly what you just said, just to highlight and some things to for the jury as well to understand what is the toxic relationships, and as you did say as well, the red flags, including as well what makes a relationship toxic, so that people actually might understand or see things a bit more clearly as well.
Yeah, toxic relationship. It's I think it's very, very important for somebody to actually understand that when you are in it, like how do you recognize the signs um, when you are in a toxic relationship? I think low self-esteem and self-worth. Like when you're in a relationship and you find yourself anxiety and depression, or all these things, they contribute, and like you're constantly fighting, conflict. If you are in a relationship and you're always fighting all the time and not communicating, those are the signs as well that the relationship is just stale, is on not so good. So what do you think, Claudia?
Yes, absolutely. What you said, and yeah, just like a toxic relationship is one that makes you feel unsupported, misunderstood, demeaned, or even attacked as well. So basically, a relationship is toxic when your well-being is threatened in some way. This could be emotionally, psychologically, and even physically too. So basically, on a basic level, any relationship that makes you feel worse rather than better can become toxic over time. So it is just actually important to understand and to know these things, so that because relationships as well can start beautifully, like, yeah, just like gorgeous, and then they can change as well over a period of time, the dynamics. And the thing is as well, it's important as well to note that toxic relationships are not limited only to romantic relationships. They can even exist in families, in the workplace, or even in our circle of friends. So basically, they can be everywhere, and they can be extremely stressful, especially as well if the toxicity isn't effectively managed as well by us. Oh, you're silent, Nomsa.
With you, Claudia, I think it's very, very important. And sometimes when couples find themselves having trust issues and difficult forming that healthy bond relationship, so it can actually make it difficult to form a new healthy connection when victims like if somebody in a relationship, if they're carrying too many scars from past relationship into a future ones, fearing repeating of the same patterns, but sometimes we fear, however we have been treated in the past, if we don't deal with those issues, we can easily take it to a new relationship, and that can destroy, or sometimes even if we never had any trust issues, people change. And now the stress, like there's pressure, social media. I don't know about you, Claudia, with your clients. I think social media put pressure on people, because for me, like what I hear when somebody wants to join the agency is all social media. Like when I look at my friends, when they're posting, they're like, why can't I have that life? So I think it's very, very important for people to understand that it's not necessary for us to actually carry the burden that is not necessary. And also the pressure, mostly when you have children. There's some people, because they've never accomplished their dreams, so never accomplish their dreams, they stay on the road in neglecting their relationship. That's why you find in most of couples, when children go to uni, they don't know how to cope with each other, because they're no longer hanging out. They were no longer hanging out together. Their lives was all about children. And when life becomes all about children, what do you do when children go to uni? If the connection is gone, and that relationship becomes toxic, and that's when couples, they have to part. I don't know what you think about this one.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well is every case is individual as well, because only you can tell if the bad outweighs as well the good in a relationship, but if someone is constantly threatening your well-being by what they are saying or doing or not doing, then it's likely as well a toxic relationship. And nature is quite intelligent, because we all know as well the beginning of a relationship, or as well like friendships as well, or the workplace too, there is a new connection, a new relationship, whatever kind of relationship, and you feel the attraction, obviously, especially as well romantically, it's like very intended as well for us not to see the red flags as well, to fall for each other. Biology as well, like the hormones, but then as well later on along the way, it's just like when things become a bit normal, and the honeymoon phase as well is a bit is a bit weight off as well at this stage as well. So, and the normality comes into play. This is actually as well interesting to, just like to be aware and to see what type of connection or relationship it is as well, because this is actually when it really starts to be unveiled to yourself. Because the thing is as well, on some level, we always attract people where we have like our wounds still not being met. And when we understand this as well, how it works, how we attract as well people and partners into our lives by understanding us, and have done as well some personal self-development in the past, and understand as well our upbringing in the childhood, and especially as well our wounds. This helps too then to understand as well what type of relationships of people as well we attract, so that we can work through everything what has not been met in the past as well, because our subconscious mind always wants to heal. We always want to be healed on all the levels, and this is why we attract the people and the circumstances, to be shown what still we have to deal with. And sometimes as well, it's like a toxic relationship coming along our way to show us as well, things to stand up for ourselves, or to love ourselves more, that we are important and not to overgive. What are some other things, Nomsa, a toxic relationship actually can show us as a learning for us?
Hi, Osama. How are you doing? He's asking, what are you finding in the sea, Nomsa? You see, this seaside, it makes me calm. It gives me joy. It just gives me this peace. I have peace in this sea. I wanted it to be on my website, but unfortunately, I couldn't put it on my website. And I tried to put it on Facebook, because on Facebook before you could put a video, but now you can't. So just like watching my piece, my peace, let peace be with Nomsa. I like it, Claudia, when you say toxic relationship, sometimes it comes to show us. I think somehow, even a long-term relationship have had its ups and downs. But a toxic relationship, if there is abuse in that relationship, I would say get out. Don't try to fix it, because the abuser, that person will never change. They might try to make it as if you are the one that is in the wrong, anything, they will never change. So leave that relationship. Or if when we talk about abuse, we talk about emotionally or physically. But if there is no abuse and couples are just lazy to work on that relationship, there's so many gadgets nowadays where couples can disappear and do whatever they do, they forget about each other. So sometimes when a relationship becomes toxic, sometimes it's just letting us know that we need to work on what is broken, because even with the children, you still have to work on that bond, their relationship. So even couples as well, you still have to, I think it is the gratitude. Everything, it comes down to gratitude. I've realized even with my relationship, before I got deep with personal development, I could see that there were things that I was taking it for granted. So it's very, very important not to take each other for granted. Make every effort in that relationship, complement each other. And when you complement each other, make sure that the person, they know, the person you're dating, they know how you feel about them. Some people, they feel these wonderful emotional things inside, but they never really express it to the other person. And express it. Let your spouse know how you feel, that gratitude, how much you appreciate them, and just keep working on the relationship. I think that's where the problem, people start not working in a relationship, and also confidence, it destroys a relationship.
Also, Nomsa, one thing, if I may add to this, is one thing I found and one thing I was taught as well, is quite often the people that have been abused quite often become the abusers, unless they've gone through therapy or healing. That's what they know. And whether it be passive aggressive or just straight out passive or aggressive, because as you probably know about the imprint period between 0 and 7 years old, where we become chiseled and we become who we become as adults, basically, unless we go through some transformative healing.
What's wrong with your video? Why can't you come on the video?
I don't know why it's not working. The laptop, the light on my laptop is flashing,
Mhm.
and yet I'm not seeing myself on the thing. So I
Have
have
you
no idea.
have you allowed your video to come on to broadcast? Because you have to
Yes,
allow it.
from what I can see, yeah, yeah. You see that? I clicked on that, and it even shows HD webcam, so it's all showing correctly. So I
Okay,
don't.
just speak. That's fine. Let's keep talking. That's
But
fine.
it's fine.
Yeah, so weird.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fairly new laptop, so I'm still getting used. I used to have a PC, and they're different, so I'm still getting used to this and Windows 11 as well. So it's all different from my old XP and Windows 10 days.
But maybe
So
next time.
next
Maybe
time,
the video
definitely,
works next time.
yeah.
It will be
And
good.
also, one thing, Claudia, to add to what you were saying, because I've done therapy, I've had my own practice until just recently because I'm moving overseas, so I've packed everything up, so I'm not doing that now. Yeah, one thing I find or have found is with a lot of the toxic relationships, the number one sign when someone starts dating
Mhm.
is lack of respect.
Ah, okay, good point.
And I don't care if it's a narcissist, a
Yeah.
sociopath,
Mhm.
or whatever label we want to give that. I'll give you a prime example. I, on a daily basis, still to this day, get people come to me on Facebook Messenger saying, "Hi, how are you?" And I say, "Look, sorry, I only use this for business channels. I don't really have time to chat. I've got 1,001 things going on, and I don't have time to chat." And then they say, "Oh, where are you from?" When it's clearly on my profile, they have not respected my boundary of saying, "Leave me alone."
Mhm.
They've already shown that lack of respect for what I've told them within 3 minutes. Now, okay, I'm married, yet if I was a single man, I would be very cautious of taking that any further. So these days, I don't even give second chances. I just go block. I think I've got more blocked people on my Facebook Messenger than anywhere else online because I get this constantly. The lack of respect.
Mhm.
They do not listen because they're not respecting my wishes. And can you imagine if that happens in 2 3 minutes? Can you let's play that forward, 5 years time, 10 years time, 20 years time, and it's just prevalent. It's so big out there. And then if we question what causes a lack of respect, well, then it's a lack of self-respect because we can only give out what we have. We can't give what we don't have. So all these people are really showing is the lack of self-respect they have for themselves. Where does that come from? Well, then is that upbringing? Is it their background? Is it their culture? Is it you name it? We can go on forever with that. So,
Mhm.
being a male, I like to summarize things and keep things simple.
Mhm.
um, so I think it's a simplified version of it, and sure, it would get more complex. I think as a starting point, though, the first sign of a toxic relationship is a lack of respect.
Mhm. Yeah. 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 Very important. Absolutely. And something else as well for me, thinking in the past of the toxic relationship I had like in the past, is that I always have to walk around on eggshells when I'm with them, like I can't
Mm-hmm.
be myself basically as well. And they just don't, yeah, they bring out the worst as well in me and me as well in the other person. So it's just like this negativity around it. And as well, that
Yeah.
always to be blamed. Okay, so things are always coming back to you, and you are the one as well. So they blame always you. Yeah.
That sounds like a narcissistic type of personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
They tend to blame others for their own failings and everything
Mm.
else. So, yeah, I understand that part. I've dealt with one narcissist. He and his wife were separated. She actually called some government department to help her move, and he wanted her back, so they came together to see me. And after about 2 3 sessions, the wife said, "Wow, this is the closest I felt to my husband, even though they were living under different roofs." And then he was seeing a psychologist as well as me. And then one day he sent me a very nasty text, started to blame me and say, why am I picking on him with all the therapies? Why am I not working with the wife, etc., etc.? And I was nice and I said, look, I said, I see you're the more emotionally involved person here. And I said, you're paying me to give you my advice and my guidance, and that's what I'm giving you. You can take it or you can leave. You can take it or you can leave it. That's up to you. And so the thing is, you came to me for my advice. I'm providing it for you. I'm providing you the therapy that I feel is necessary. What you do with that is up to you. And could I have worked on him? Uh, Current psychology or counseling says narcissism can't be worked on, or they say it's very difficult. It can be worked on, yet by a very non-traditional techniques, let's put it that way. If you've heard of distance healing, if you're into Reiki and things like that, there are ways of doing things behind the person's back without them knowing for them to heal that, which I have done with a couple of people. So as a direct method of healing, I find narcissism probably not the most effective. I think it is one of those that does need to be done behind the person's or out of their awareness. I think that's where the intention comes in. People say, oh, that's manipulation. Well, manipulation can be good or bad. I think that's where the intention comes in. If it's for their betterment and for their improvement and their healing, I have no issue with it personally. So
Yeah, I think if somebody start disrespecting you, for me, I always say I don't enter a relationship to be disrespected. So if somebody start disrespecting you and they start like some people they start giving you ultimatum, like controlling you and all these things. And mostly, I think men and women both they do that, but men never come forward. They get scared to be judged. Like, how can you say you're being bullied? Imagine a man walking into the police station and telling the police that they're being bullied by a woman. And the police will just laugh at will laugh, but I think now they don't because they take it very, very serious. So it does happen where women they bully men and men in they bully women as well. So I think if
yeah,
somebody, for me, I would say if somebody is in a toxic relationship, because it can actually destroy your physical consequences and also your psychologically it can be a long-term lasting effect aspects for individuals life including mentally and their personal and professional life. If you listen to Tony Robbins, it says you could find like a billionaire or a millionaire, when the relationship is not working, they just go down very quickly. Like it would just somebody becomes so small, like it just brings them down. So I think it's very, very important to have a therapist in a relationship. Always have a coach. It's very important. Always.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's why I came up with my programs, NOMSA, as you know, because in there I even provide my own examples and of things that I've done, and I've shared things with you of things that I plan to do as well. So this is where I think I think one of the big things with relationships is we look at our parents and go, I would never want that for my children or for myself. And then we leave home and we follow the same footsteps, or we go the total opposite. And what I think is lacking is really the relationship education. We're not taught about the opposites between men and women. For example, we're not taught about romance. We're not taught about intimacy. Um, there's a lot of things that we're not taught. And you've gone through my program, so you know a lot of what I teach is really simple. There's nothing complicated. With what I teach, a person doesn't need a mathematics degree behind them to understand the concepts. They're very, very simple to follow through. It's just I think people don't know what to do. And as you said with Tony Robbins or NLP, they say we do the best we can with what we've got. And people just generally aren't very resourceful in the area of relationships. And then they may go and buy a book, for example, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray. Okay, I'm going back 25 years, if you ladies know that book.
Oh, John Gray comes to
but-
our talk show as well.
Yes, he does.
Oh, does he? Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
He
So people
does.
may go and buy that one book. Yeah, generally one book won't save a relationship because relationships are so multifaceted.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think it's something. It's like money. Money's not taught in school, so that's why most of us are broke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with relationships. All the important things we're not taught.
Yes.
And you know me a little bit, Mom. So if you look at most people, they're living a conventional life. I've gone and it's say a straight line in front of us. I've gone right angles to that. I'm as alternative as they come with most of what I know, with most of what I do and think and studied. I've gone from studying pure mathematics at university to becoming an ordained minister.
Mm.
You don't get many people who use logic as well as spirituality in one sentence. and I've even seen connections between the two, believe it or not, in geometry, for example, in the shape of the spiritual aspect of things. So mathematics and spirituality can or does have a connection, believe it or not. It just takes someone who's weird like me or strange like me to see that. What I'm getting at with what I'm saying is the information's out there. I think people just don't go looking for it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is as well to say here that sometimes people don't know about that they might be in a toxic relationship because they think it's normal as they have experienced this
Exactly.
similar things in the past, in their childhood, probably as well. So they might think this is normal to be treated this way as well. And that's as well how you say too, it would be so fantastic to be taught those things in school in regards to self-esteem, relationships, mindset, awareness and everything. But unfortunately, it's not. We have to learn the timetables, just things.
Yeah.
But again, this is as well why it's good out there as well. There's so much information and good books and absolutely John Gray, and a very good book I love as well is Getting the Love You Want. I forgot the name of the author actually, but
is that Marianne Williamson?
No. It's a guy actually. Getting the Love You Want. It explains beautifully as well why we attract the romantic relationships in this case as well, how we and why we are attracted to a specific type of man and how it mirrors as well our wounds inside of us, which have not been met by our father, by our mother in the past. And we are just going out there, being grown up now, 10, 20 years later on, and finding the partner, and just because we want to be healed. And the book is Getting the Love You Want.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because one thing I do teach is, and this isn't a critique, it's just the way it is from my understanding, is women seek male approval. And the first place they look for it is with their father. Mm-hmm. And if they don't get it from him, they will keep on searching for the rest of their lives until they get that male approval. Right, wrong, and different, that's the way they're wired. Like I said, I have no judgment on that. That's the way they are. So if their father, for example, was abusive, and as they quite often say, a female will marry a person like their father, or marry a man, and vice versa. So again, we've also got that issue as well. So that's where the healing part comes in, like you said. Yeah. So I think that's very important.
I mean, the thing is as well, what I can see as well with me and my clients as well, that I don't know, like 95% all those issues in regards to relationships, not just romantic as well, the friends at work and so on, it comes always down to us and to self-love, self-respect as well, you know, just like it comes always back to us, how we honor ourselves and how we want to be treated as well, and what we allow and what we don't allow. So it comes always in most of the cases back to us. Yeah.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
And I, I think if I may just add to what you just said there, I think a lot of that comes down to, and again, self-love is part of that, our self-worth. If we feel that we're worthy or deserving of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase, what we give out comes back.
Yeah.
And I say to people, yeah, you can give and give and give. Yet for the person who doesn't feel worthy of receiving, they won't get anything back. They'll just keep on giving and get nothing back in return.
Yeah.
So what you give out comes back is not necessarily accurate, because there is that missing half of if they feel deserving or worthy of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the self-love. I think if a person loves himself enough, then that self-worth can grow or can improve.
Mm-hmm. And obviously there are always layers onto it, you know, the self-love.
Oh yeah.
Self-love, you might start to work on it, and then there are always layers and layers. So it's a bit, yeah, it is a journey as well. Yeah.
Sometimes it's a long journey. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's different. Yeah. And one thing I've discovered too, everyone's got their story.
Yeah.
Everyone's had a hard life at some stage or another. Everyone's had most people have had an easy life at some stage or another. Everyone has their story, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
We've all gone through hard things or difficult things in our lives. So we've all got healing to do. At the same time, though, I find it's also important to continue living, not stop living for the sake of therapy or healing.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of finding that balance. So, yeah.
And also sometimes, like that's what Anna says, like sometimes you may find some people, they start behaving like the same way like their parents, like father like son, like father like daughter, like mother like daughter. So that pattern, if there was abusive in a relationship, but you find some people who come from a very, very abusive parents, they completely go the opposite way. They make a vow to themselves that they will never live that life. They completely change. And for better, they become better husbands. Some of them become better wives because they realize that it's not how they want to live their lives. I've seen people sometimes when you talk to them, they're like, oh, if you start asking your parents how was your relationship with your parents, you start looking at the pattern that whatever the parents they went through, and that person is going, it just start going through it. Or sometimes sometimes the alcoholic parents, you find that person becomes the alcoholic, but sometimes they blame the bloodline, but sometimes I think it's just an easy way out. Because for me, my family, they drink, I don't drink. It's not that, for me, I tested alcohol before somebody gave me alcohol, and they were like, drink is nice, and I was like, what's the point of drinking this disgusting? It tasted disgusting. So why are you drinking it? And then I realized actually is the after, the fake happiness that people, that makes somebody go back to it, because it gives them comfort. It gives them that fake love where they feel everything is fine, but it's not fine. So I was like, I ain't drinking alcohol because it does not make sense. And that is my choice. And my sister doesn't drink either. My siblings don't drink. Some of them they do. So we're different. but that's how it is. Or sometimes people, they just become bullies because they were bullied. You may find that somebody who have dated a narcissist before, they become them. When they enter a relationship, they bully the other person, they start controlling the other person because of what was done to them. So I think it's very, very important to actually look deep into the lives that we are leading, and know that we can be different if we want. And if there is anyone out there who's dating, who is in a toxic relationship, you can get out of that toxic relationship. And trust me, when your relationship is toxic and the other person starts being nice, 1 minute they manipulate you, just get out of it. Anything that it does not feel right, it feels like it's a strain or depressing, just get out of it. That means somehow, or work on the relationship. But unfortunately, nowadays there's lots of things where people can help themselves. People can go to porno movies, watch a porno movie, they help themselves. They don't need any need to work on the relationship, so they will prefer to live in a depressing relationship. Or nowadays people masturbate. I've got people that I ask, why are you single? They're like, what's the point of me finding a woman while I can masturbate and give myself pleasure? But when you masturbate, that's when spiritually you get caged, because that whatever you produce when you masturbate, Jezebel takes your spans and she cages you. And when she cages your soul, that means you can actually become a proper bully. Masturbation is forbidden in the realm of the spirit. God forbids. Porno movies, masturbation is forbidden. When you do that, it can actually lead to the sin of death, where you could actually die, cancer or anything, because your soul get caged in the water of pornography.
Yeah, and the thing is as well with family and close friends as well, and it's sometimes a bit more difficult as well to get rid of them since they just like a bit more difficult, you know. But the thing is as well, you know, if there's seriously some toxic relationships between the family as well, or within the family, you know, just like then yeah, it's just like things you can do as well to decrease the time you're spending with them as well. And if you're worried about offending them as well, just like then just cut back your visits over a period of time, of months as well. So maybe then it isn't quite as obviously, though they still might notice. Yeah.
Yeah, where's Annie? Annie, where are you?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm also thinking.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of one of the examples. If you've listened to lesson one, I mentioned this couple they've been married for 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
and every Friday night the husband would come home and go out with the boys, and come home drunk, and the wife absolutely despised it.
Yeah.
And so what she would do before we went out, they would have an argument, either on the Thursday night or the Friday before we went out. And then after I spoke with her a bit, what I suggested to her was to go to her husband and say, "Look, sweetheart, I know you worked hard all week. You deserve time out with the boys. Go out and have some fun."
Mm-hmm.
And what he did, he basically said, and she said, I'll even stay up and have a snack waiting for you. And he turned around and said, "Don't stay up and don't have a snack waiting for me. I don't know what time I'll be home." he was on automatic pilot. So he walked down and slammed the door behind him. And it really doesn't bother me what he felt after he left, whether he felt bad or guilty or whatever. It was the first time in 25 years that he came home early and he wasn't drunk. So all he needed was to be shown that she understood.
Mm.
So my question is, at what point would we say that the relationship is toxic and needing therapy when really all they just needed to show each other was that they understood?
Mm.
Actually, what we are saying, Annie, is like what my pastor said. So my pastor said he had this guy, he was getting drunk all the time. And so he said, so one day my pastor is like, he can't go, pastor's not allowed to go to the pub. And then God said to him, go to the pub. So then he went to the pub with him. And when he arrived at the pub, everyone was so nice to him. And they were all these people, they were really nice to each other. And God said, look, he comes here because they love each other unconditional. So you need to find him another activities that he can do and feel loved and fit and replace this pub business with something else. But my pastor, if he was somebody else, he would have said, I'm not going to the pub. He would have judged him, but he did not judge him. And then God said, go with him. And he went. That's when he realized actually he need to replace this activity with something else. So he found something for them to do where he can be loved unconditional, like the same way he's loved in that pub. Because the people that bring, if I go to the pub now, if I don't have money, everybody will offer me beer. They offer to buy me beer. But if I was to go, like let's say there is an event and the people are having picnic, I don't have food. No one will offer me food. People wouldn't offer me food. They would just keep themselves to themselves. Me, without money, without food, I would just be wandering there until they are finished. They will eat without offering me. So that's why he actually, God showed him that he is loved. When he goes to the pub, everyone shows him love. So sometimes you may find that some people, they become narcissistic, or they become angry because they feel that the other person doesn't love them or does not give love and compassion, but they're not expressing their desires. So all these things are happening. You find the couples, they are like fighting and fighting. Like myself, I'm at home. Sometimes when my spouse comes home, and if he has had a bad day and he wants to take that on me, I can pick it straight away because I'm in the present moment. And sometimes, or the Holy Spirit will say, you say nothing. Or if he says something that is meant to trigger something me, I just have to go quiet and just watch him and do whatever he does. And then he will start explaining what went on in the day. He did not have a good day. This one annoyed him, that one annoyed him. And I'm like, okay. So that's where the attitude comes from. But if I didn't know it, I'll give it to him. I'll give it back, baby.
Reflection is not always a good thing. I came up with a phrase many years ago, probably about 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they say, teach by example. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I came up with a phrase where it says, teach by example. If that doesn't work, teach by reflection. Just make it short and intense. Because sometimes the reflection isn't good, especially if it's negative. So yeah, if you got to teach by reflection, do so. Yeah, make it short yet intense for them to get the message. And sometimes they go, "Oh shit," pardon the language, but yeah, they go, "Oh, okay, I get it now," because that's what it takes. Especially if it's short and intense, it's like being smacked. It's like being slapped across the face with a wake up call. And sometimes that's what people need. That emotional jolt. Yeah. Yeah.
But as well, like good communication is important in like any relationship as well. And what I learned as well to express is what it is I need from my partner, because again, they are not psychics as well. They can't read our minds as well. So in regards,
Especially men.
yeah, yeah,
Especially
yeah.
men.
Exactly, especially men, because again, we are two different species here, you know, just like explaining what it is I need out of the situation if I feel a bit overwhelmed with something and so on, why I feel this way, you know, like a bit more explanation rather than only moaning about things. Yeah. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
they can understand us as well, where we come from.
Well, here's something I don't know. Again, this is in my program, Claudia. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Mm.
The average couple spends 4 minutes a day talking. 4 minutes.
Uh-huh.
What can be built on 4 minutes a day? That's shocking.
Yeah, that's shocking. But
And no wonder people are having affairs or
yeah.
doing. And I'm saying I'm agreeing with with that. I'm just saying it's like it's partly understandable when you come home. Because
Mm.
I was just extending to that because I want to give a fuller picture of what I'm getting at. Is I was explaining to someone just today. I said we all want to matter. One of the biggest issues in relationships is we don't feel that we matter.
Yeah.
And if we don't matter, and people, and this is a lot of this is unconscious, and it's like if I don't matter to you in a good way, I'm going to matter to you in a negative way through either having an affair, an argument, ignoring you, leaving you, belittling you, going to do something that annoys you. So we all want to matter. In other words, we're really big kids just in grown-up bodies. We all want to matter,
Yeah. Yeah.
and humans will do the stupidest of things, like having an affair and whatever else, to go and get that feeling of importance. You know, and I'm so about the 6 human needs: certainty and significance.
Yeah.
Human need number 4, significance. I think it is with Anthony Robbins.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, we all want to feel important.
Yeah.
And so by spending 4 minutes a day, how important would we feel that we are to our partner with 4 minutes a day talking? Not very.
Mm.
So I
I
teach. So I teach that every couple needs to spend at least half an hour away from the children, away from the pets, alone time, proper communication, minimum half an hour a day,
Mm.
minimum
Yeah.
daily. Yeah.
I was talking to one of the guys. He called me during lockdown. He wanted to join the agency, but he changed his mind. So he called me yesterday. So we had a chat. But through talking to him, after we finished, I realized I've changed. I was like, this is scary. Honestly, I said to myself, because I've been fasting, like I'm nearly on 300 days. So when I was talking to him, we are talking the mindset and stuff, we are talking about the money and stuff. And then after we finished, I felt the gap that I need to realize that with my children and my spouse. I need to realize that there is so much gap with the mindset, because I was like, we were just not like talking and normal and talking about the relationship. And then, like when you have this awareness that I was like, okay, I think I've changed. So I need to, when I'm speaking to my family, I need to realize that I'm not where they are and just have that grace within them. But I do that anyway. But I think it's very, very important also the mindset, um, when we walk, to make sure that everything aligns with us. That's why both couples, they have to make sure that you have a therapist, somebody that you can talk to, and also the respect as well, because sometimes when somebody is having a conversation with me, like Annie, when you were talking to me, talking about your wife, when I was meeting you, I was like, this woman, does she actually know how lucky she is? You're so genuine, is so loving and so genuine. So I was like, she is so lucky and he is so loving. But there's times where somebody is talking to me, I'm like, this person, they are so fake. But I can feel it. Honestly, I can feel it. And what I have realized, Claudia, like I've been meeting people and sometimes they tell me lies. You know, like when you fast, it's like you're channeling the energy like from heaven and stuff. And I've realized that people tell me lies and then they come back and they confess to me. There's this guy, he was like, I need you to match me with somebody. And he is actually married. When he came to my office the other day, he's never met my daughter, but he was talking like he's met my daughter. I was like, this is creepy now. And then
Wow.
he says to me, actually, he says to my daughter, there's somebody that I need you to meet. And then he's introducing me to his wife. And I was like, this is so creepy. My life is getting creepy now. So I was like, but you told me you were not married, but now you're married. But I did not ask that part now. Now this is where my energy goes, go quiet. Accept what's being presented to you. Accept the truth that has been presented to you. So I think it's like the energy that we have that we allow sometimes back our childhood, what we've gone through, and sometimes the disappointment, the rejection that we accept. Because I've realized since I've been getting rid of my energy, I'm walking in a place where there's this present awareness. Before I used to get hurt, but if somebody was to come and belittle me, I just went, oh, okay, he's one of the bonkers people. Then I'll be wanting to help that person that belittling me. So that's the energy that I have. I don't know how to belittle anybody, and I don't know how to get angry anymore. So I think it's the energy that we allow. So my question now is, Annie and Claudia, if there's someone who is watching right now, they are going through a toxic relationship and finances, they are worried that if they get out, they might not be able to afford to look after themselves, or they have finances, but they are hoping that uh, that person that is abusing them, bullying them, things will get better. What advice can you give to our audience who are in that situation?
Well, in regard, okay, well, I like to believe there's always a solution, a good solution as well. So I would get behind the scenes, I would get my information as well. I would talk to people I trust, just like to see what makes sense and what would be a good plan before I come out and discuss this with my partner, where I might have as well maybe intention as well already to leave or to separate as well from them. But I would be prepared to see what's possible, doable, and what are my rights as well within the finances. And you, Annie?
Yeah, that's a hard call.
Yeah.
It depends if they are, for example, narcissistic or an abuser. Sometimes I think it's just best just to go and get your own place and then get the finances sorted out. If they are in a position where they can, if your partner's or if the partner is the sort of person that can be spoken with, then sit down, sure, by all means. And well, like Claudia said, go and get some external advice. You know, I honestly think before even getting external advice, I think it's always best to speak with your partner first. And say, look, there is a problem. We need to sort something out. And always ask them, say, look, whatever, I think or I feel there's a problem, or I think there's a problem. What do you think? Always ask for their input as well, because they may not even. And with most men being men, and they stop paying attention, and they're so focused on their jobs or their own lives or their own interests, and they just stop paying attention. A lot of men unfortunately, are really not aware that there's a problem. So quite often it'll be the female that says, look, I think we've got a problem, or look, there is a problem, and I need your input. Because one thing men love to do is solve problems. So if you come up with a problem, he'll love, well, generally, to go and solve that. So I think it's important to, like I said, if he's the sort of person that can be spoken with, and if not a narcissist or a sociopath or an abuser, yeah, and you can use that half an hour talk time that I was mentioning before. Say, look, we need to, yeah.
Yeah, and also for me, the advice that I will give to you guys is if you are in an abusive relationship and you maybe you can't take it anymore, I would say, like, Claudia's advice, get some help and just get out of that relationship. Like in the United Kingdom, you can go to the citizen advice and get help. If you don't have finances, you can go to. It's just the only problem is that people want a luxury life. If you can have somebody that can put you in, there's always someone out there. I remember one day, me and my daughter, we were walking to town, and this guy, I think one of the rich guys, he had brought somebody here, and this person from Essex, she lived in Essex, but then he brought them here, and then he was throwing her clothes through the window, and this woman in the middle of the road, and everyone is watching. Me and my daughter, we just went, because that's how I'm raising my children. It's like we just went and picked the clothes, and we said to her, "Can we go home? Can you come home with us?" And we find ourselves living with her. And after that, I said to her, "You are not going back." And she was like, "But Nomsa, I have not called my son for a long time." It's one of those people, like when you fall in love, you fall in love. And she was like, "I've not communicated with my son. I don't think my son," I was like, because for me, I do things led by God. And I was like, "He'll pick up the phone. Just pick up the phone. You're not going back there." So she rang him, and the son, he was mourning over the phone with me, but he was like, "She's my mom. I'll come and pick her up." And he came. She never went back. She went on and lived her life. So I think it's just finding that person that can help it, and also trusting that there's still good people out there who can help you, like me. There's people who can help you, like myself. If you're homeless, I can help you. Why not? And yeah, that is very, very important to make sure that you don't suffer and get out of that relationship. Otherwise, it's people die, people hang themselves. I've got my friend that took her own life, but outside, her life was perfect. Her husband, they had lots of money, everything. But on the inside, we didn't know what we didn't know. And she was hanging out with us every single day. She took her own life. So please don't take no life. Contact Nkosi talk shows if you feel that nobody can listen, you feel that no one can listen to you. Just get out of that relationship. Any words of encouragement, guys?
Yeah, just like when dealing with any type of toxic relationships as well, it's important as well to focus on you, on your health, and on your well-being, okay? And the thing is as well, and if you're experiencing emotional or physical abuse, get help right away.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I also find that, especially with mothers, they give and give and give and give and give, and it really is a 24/7 100-year job. It's like to their kids, to their partner, to their parents, to the grandparents, to the grandkids, to their boss, to their neighbors, to the partner. And they seldom stop and give to themselves that time out. and people burn out. So I can understand why some women become very bitter.
Crying mother is called the crying mother, and Lucifer wants that. Once you destroy a woman as a man, that's what he wants. He just when a woman cries inside, they become bitter. He cages the man. When they die, their soul goes to him.
Well, that nearly happened with my wife. I don't really want to go into details. I don't know that much. All I will say is with her ex-partner, it was really bad.
Mm.
Really,
Yeah.
really, really bad. Really bad. Yeah, that's as far as I'll go with that, especially here live, since we're on YouTube and can they go across the world. But basically, yeah, he, from what I understand, he tried to basically rip her soul to pieces. Um, it took a lot of patience on my part to have her open up and to be a role model of what it's like to be open and to be vulnerable and all that sort of stuff, and to be so open to the point where she knew pretty much what I was doing every 5 minutes, so she knew she could trust me because, especially being 12,000 k's apart. Um, I used to text her. I jokingly say to people, I used to text her virtually a book a day of things that I was up to, just so she knew she could trust me in the early days. Um, to build that trust. Um, so abuse can be a horrible thing. I knew a woman in, where is she? Hobart? I think in Tasmania. If you know Australia, I don't know how well you know Australia. Hobart is the capital of Tasmania, south of Australia, and she was stabbed in the neck by her ex-partner. And I've heard of females seriously being really, really badly treated by their partners, as that example on its own. Yeah, yeah. So, and I've heard of stories where people have been locked up in their own home, by the partners, where they couldn't get out because the husband would lock them in. Um, there's some shocking stories. Yet on the other hand, there's a story in the UK where a boy took this, like you were saying, Mumsa, I think it was you, Mumsa, was it
Mhm.
you, Claudia? What feels normal. There's a story in the UK of a young schoolboy who fell in love with a girl, moved out with her, and she was the abuser. She used to cut him and slash him and give him bruises and all that, and he'd leave and go to hospital and come back, and only to happen again. And he had children with her, and because he didn't know any better, he thought that was normal until something clicked in him and the police got involved and the parents got involved, because she even controlled him to the point where he was not allowed to contact his parents. And yeah, true story in the UK somewhere. I think, I don't know if it was London, but yeah, it's on YouTube. I watch a lot of true
Oh
crime
yeah,
and
I've seen that.
stuff
I've
like that.
seen that on YouTube as well. If it's the one,
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen that on YouTube. And the police as well, they say they can't do anything if somebody reports and then they change their mind, so they can't force.
yeah,
It
yeah.
becomes
So
hard.
yeah, what I was summarizing, what I was getting at with all that. Sometimes with the abuse, sometimes it feels that there is no way out, and that's why they stay.
Yeah,
So,
you're familiar.
and, and then you have that. What's that? The Stockholm syndrome, where you fall in love with your Is it the Stockholm syndrome, where you fall in love with the person who like say you get abducted, and then you fall in love with your abductor. Is that the Stockholm syndrome or something? Do you know?
Yeah, for me, in church, we in a Christian thing, we call it soul when the soul is caged. When your
Yeah,
soul is caged, you can do anything you don't want to do until you wake up.
yeah, yeah. And there's always a way. People do find a way eventually, somehow, somewhere. Yeah, yeah. So I
And
think when the pain gets, well, like Tony Robbins says, when the pain gets big enough, we find a way, or until the pain gets big enough, we find, that's when we find a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, everyone, guys, we've got to go now. If anyone is watching from YouTube, please do subscribe to our channel. And if you're watching from Facebook, please do share the video. And even on YouTube, LinkedIn, share the video with your family. Spread some love. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Live with grace and God bless.
Thank you, Nomsa. Lovely chatting with you and lovely meeting you, Claudia. And next time, hopefully, I'll have my video up and running. I don't know what's going on there, so yeah, it's strange.
Exactly.